And no, please, no, no more, no more. Oh. Okay, here's my Super Nintendo and N64 section. So, we'll start from the top. We have a Mario paint, complete in the box. We then have a Super Batter Up with a really happy kid. So Super Batter Up, you kind of swung it somehow, and then it worked with baseball games, and it would activate your swing button if you're playing like Ken Griffey Jr. baseball. We next have a sealed Super Nintendo controller up there. Sealed! Next we have a Game Genie, Super Nintendo Game Genie. You don't find those in the box too often. Here's the first release of the Super Nintendo. This was the version that came out in the winter of '91. And so it came with Super Mario World, it came with 2 controllers, and those were the last Nintendo systems to do either. Like that. And so you have that going on. Next to it, you have the Killer Instinct set, which was basically a Super Nintendo set with the 1 controller, and you got Killer Instinct. I think it was just loose. I don't think it was boxed. I'm not sure. Who cares? And that also came with the Killer Cut CD. Remember the song? No. Here's a Super Game Boy. Here's a loose Super Nintendo Game Genie. Here is a specialized fighter pad by ASCII. I've never seen one of these before. I got this. Never! Here's the first N64 that was released. That's the box that was first released. And did not come with anything, no games, just 1 controller. And here's the Atomic Purple version, which was the same as this. Just came out a few years later, and it had an Atomic Purple controller. That's as excited as I'll ever get for an N64 box system. We got some more N64 box games here. We have F-Zero. We have the popular Army Men games that are popular when they came out. We got those going on. We have Command and Conquer. Ooh, that's a good one, actually. Strategy. Then we have some boxed Super Nintendo games. We got Magic Boy. We got a Star Fox going on here. We have probably my favorite RPG ever, which I should play again. Chrono Trigger. This is complete. It has the map. It has everything in it. I'm sure everyone is jealous. Here's a boxed, complete Ninja Gaiden trilogy that I picked up years back and probably paid a lot less than what it's worth. We have a Pilot Wings, Super Metroid, F-Zero, a lot of like the original first run of games I have in the box. Contra 3, and one of my favorite games of all time, ActRaiser complete. Love ActRaiser, makes me cry. I mean, no, it doesn't, it makes me happy. And the only unlicensed game on the Super Nintendo is Super 3D Noah's Ark, which the story goes that id Software was pissed at Nintendo for having them censor Wolfenstein 3D, so they gave the tech to Wisdom Tree, and they came out with a clone of Wolfenstein 3D. And I bought this really cheap for like 40 bucks, and this goes for a lot of money. Now, I don't know why. There's a ton of these out there. It's just that everyone has them. They're not going to sell them. So be careful when you look for these. Be careful. Here are my Super Nintendo games. I have about, I don't know, 225 or so. I got to reorganize them. As you see, there's some on the shelf here. I don't want to get into these too much. I have the popular ones. I have all the popular games. I have some hard to find ones. I have ones like Mr. Nuts that are just weird that I like. The thing about collecting for Super Nintendo is that it's still in a spot where even if the games are rare, they're not necessarily worth a lot of money. So you can pick up for a game like, for example, Home Improvement, if I can find it real quick. Home Improvement is a very hard to find game, but it's only worth like 10 bucks. That's just the way it is for Super Nintendo right now. So if you want to collect Super Nintendo, now's the time to get into it. So I always usually make fun of Super Nintendo with other people in that it's not really an interesting system to collect for. Nintendo is obviously the most interesting because it has so much weird games and stuff. There's some interesting stuff on the Super Nintendo, but the fact that there's not any unlicensed games besides Super Noah's Ark, so it makes it kind of mundane, but they did have like educational games. They had the insulin games and things like that going on. Ooh, there's Final Fight 3. That's hard to find. That's a good one. Oh, here's Evo. That was a 16-bit gem. And Alien vs. Predator. So yeah, there's some interesting games. I'm not going to deny it. I think I have Earthbound. Oh, here's Earthbound. Precariously on the shelf. There's Earthbound. There you go. This goes for a lot of money now. I don't know why. A lot of people have that. I used to hang these in my dorm room. I had a lot more of these. But I kept the Nintendo ones. I loved the art. Here's some marquees. You got Donkey Kong Jr., Popeye. These are originals, not 3 Pros, and Donkey Kong here. So I want to get just the Mario Brothers one. That basically complete the set of 4, major Nintendo releases besides Donkey Kong 3. So I might hang these at some point. I'm just trying to see where I would put them. And down where they belong are the N64 games. I have about 110 or so N64 games. I've gotten flack in the past before, but I think the N64 is not a great system overall. Obviously, there were some fun games, but overall, the library is very weak. That's why they got killed by the PlayStation. Or I have GoldenEye, I have Super Mario 64, I have the Mario Party games, I have the Zelda games. I have... That's it. That's all the games you need to play on the system. There's not that many more. Pick a handful of games randomly, and we'll see if there's anything good in here. You got Shadow Man, that's good. Oh, you got, California Rush 2. Half the games on the N64 were racing games. You got Rugrats, you got Resident Evil 2, you got Ready to Rumble Boxing. NBA Hang Time is really fun. It's probably the best port of the game. It's better than the port on Super Nintendo. So, it's still a good system to have, I guess. But, if I said the Super Nintendo was boring to collect for, the N64 was even more boring-er because the N64 had no unlicensed games for it and really had no interesting educational or weird ones. There's only a few really hard-to-find games on the system. You have stuff like Worms is hard to find. You have Ogre Battles, kind of hard to find. Or what's really bad about the N64, what pisses me off, is that they display awfully because there's no labels anywhere on the side. It said they wanted you to keep the box, but no one did still. So unless you stack them like this somehow, you can't pick out the game. You got to guess which one is which. Can't stand that. Here is a nice Zippo case. But what makes this cool is that the Zippo case I got at the flea market fits Game Boy games perfectly. And this is about all the Game Boy games I have uniquely, which is not a lot. It's about, 100 or so Game Boy games. And again, I didn't grow up with a Game Boy, so I don't have a lot to comment on. All the Pokemon games that came out for the system are right there. All 6 of them. Here's an unlicensed game, Spiritual Warfare. I don't have the Bible game. There's a couple Bible games. There's the King James Bible, and there's the Niv Bible, which goes for a ton of money because not a lot of people have that one. Alright, that's exciting. Here is a Game Boy Advance little kiosk station for a store. So, you'd have this set up. You can take it out. It's wired in so you can't steal it. And here's the plug for it. And yeah, some dust on this. Here's the first system I had as a kid, which was not the Nintendo. It was the Telstar Ranger by Coleco. They put out a lot of Telstar systems, Coleco. This one was different in that it had a big-ass Magnum, 45 right there. Look at that thing. So they had 2 different target games, and you had, the typical tennis, pong, hockey, handball, and Jai Alai. Never played that one as a kid, but yeah, this thing 8 batteries. Most of them, these Pong sets didn't come with AC adapters, power adapters. You had to just throw in tons of D or C batteries, which would probably last you like an hour and a half, 2 hours. I'm exaggerating. So you had to go out and buy the AC adapters. Next to it, we have a Virtual Boy. This is just the box. I think I picked this up somewhere, and I don't have an extra Virtual Boy to throw in here. I do have a Virtual Boy, obviously, but this is the box for the Virtual Boy. Next to that, we have the U-Force. There's the U-Force right there. Motion controller for the NES. Really goofy. This is my lot of Game Gear games. I'm not a big Game Gear fan. Not at all. So I'm not going to go into this too much. But there's a Game Gear in here. Oh god. There's a Game Gear in here. Oh jeez. There's a Game Gear in here. And you have about 30 games. Nothing really interesting to say about the games. There's a multi-cart, the Super 32-in-1. there. That's cool. You have a Batman Forever. You have a AC adapter somewhere here. Yeah, that's the Game Gear stuff. I really don't care about the Game Gear at all. Oh, box Game Gear games. Wow, this is exciting. Strider returns. Manuals falling to the ground. There's a Sonic the Hedgehog. Sealed. Oh, here's one that's actually interesting. It's a Cosmic Space Head Codemasters unlicensed game. Oh, here's something that's worth talking about. I have my Atari Lynx games in here and my Game Boy Virtual Boy games. Here's a Rampart seal for the Atari Lynx. And here we have my Virtual Boy game set. I have all 14 US games. And a few Japanese ones. There's only 14 US games, so it's a really easy system to collect for. There's only 3 hard to find games. I have Nestor's Funky Bowling is hard to find. Waterworld's hard to find. And the third one is called Jack Brothers, which I cannot find in this box, but here it is. Jack Brothers. So those are the only hard to find games in the system. So if you want to collect the system there's no games for, make it the Virtual Boy. Yeah. Why do I have these? We have 2 sets of Power Glove receivers, and here we probably have a couple Power Gloves. Let's see what we got. In here we have 3 Power Gloves. Now, I always have people ask me about the left-handed Power Glove, and I've never seen a left-handed Power Glove. I don't think they exist. I know there's someone out there named Keith Apicary who in his video I think has a left-handed one. I'm not positive, but that must be custom made. I've never seen one for sale ever. Oh God, this is not a third TurboGrafx 16 system. This is where I keep all my extra controllers and stuff and funness. Here's another Turbo Tap. Here is a Turbo Duo Tap. So this will actually fit on my Turbo Duo. So I can use this without an adapter. Here is the Avenue 6 pad for the PC Engine. So in Japan, they had games like Street Fighter 2, which didn't come out here. And so instead of pressing weird button combinations to get 6 buttons with only 2 action buttons and a star button, they had this that came out. So this was a must-have if you had Street Fighter games. Here's an interesting thing. Here is a PC Engine to TurboGrafx 16 adapter. So these came out in the early 90s. Is this an official one? No, it's a Telegames release. And these probably can still be had at their website. And these go for usually $50, $60 at least. There's about 4 different ones they released for adapters. And yeah, if you don't want to buy a PC Engine, you just want to play PC Engine games in your TurboGrafx, you would need this. These shouldn't be in here. They should be in the garage where they belong. But here's another Odyssey system. I think I have 1,000, the 100, the 2,000. There's 1,000 different Odysseys, speaking of 1,000. Here's the only interesting one to me, because this was the one that sort of defined them. This was the Telstar right here, so this is pretty cool. And it's also in French. What? Why is it in French? And here's the Action Max, which was an esoteric VHS game, kind of like Captain Power in the late 80s. You put the tape in, you shot, and you scored, yay! And it came with a gun, it came with the system, it came with headphones, no AC adapter again. I don't know why they did that to us. These are my TurboGrafx 16 games. Unlike the N64 games that deserve to be on the bottom shelf, this is my second favorite system. So I love the TurboGrafx 16. I have some PC Engine games. There's the Street Fighter Champion Edition, which is awesome. Fatal Fury Special. Here's the Arcade Pro card, which you need to run these. I don't have a lot of these CD games. I think I have about 15 to 20. But you have like a Sherlock Holmes Sealed. You have Living Planet, which is Sim Earth right there. Some cool stuff. Riot Zone, which was a fighting game. And here's the rest of the games. Here's the regular games. I have every US release game, all 94 games. True Man Fu is a tough to find one. Double Dungeons is a fun 2-player game right there. How about Impossible? I get it, because he's a mole. Impossible, mole, no. Here's Soldier Blade, which is an excellent, excellent shooter. This is a tough to find game right there. Here is a Magical Chase, which is not actually sealed. It actually did not come in a case, but it had the manual right here and the game. This is the most coveted game. Arguably the rarest, probably not, but it's the most coveted game. It's a fun, quirky shooter. Now, the TurboGrafx 16 boxes were pretty poor. They crush easily. They're made to be thrown out, really. They're barely bigger than the size of the CD cases that they came in. Here's a hard to find one, Order of the Griffin. This was a Dungeons and Dragons game, which came out on the system. That's always an interesting one. It doesn't come up too often. Bloody Wolf, which is one of my original games I had as a kid, you know, which is like a Contra on steroids. Here's a very hard to find game, and in the box as well, Legend of Hero Tonma. Here's one that no one ever has because it's hard to find again. Here's Bonk 3, and in the box. I would not have completed my TurboGrafx 16 set if it wasn't for the fact that one time I found a Craigslist deal which had probably a good chunk, probably 2/3 of the hard to find games together, all in one package. So all at one time, I got games like Order of the Griffin, Bonk 3, Legend of Hero Tonma, and I got these for literally like $3 or $4 each, and these games go for a ton. This is probably valued at least $200 in the box. Same for this one. And at the end, we have some more stuff here. Here's a sealed Ordine. Why do I have this sealed? Drop Off, TV Sports Football, Baseball, Basketball, Chase HQ, which not many people even realize is on the system, but it's a really, really good version of this. And there's my TurboGrafx 16 games. And here's some interesting NES stuff to go over. Here's where I keep all my oversized manuals and things. So you have like the Dragon Warrior maps, your Dragon Warrior 2 manual, you have the Gunnak manual, which for some reason was bigger, I had no idea why, the Final Fantasy manual, Tecmo Super Bowl manual. Then you have all the Tengen manuals like Rolling Thunder, RBI Baseball, and like Miss Pac-Man. A Supervision multi-cart, those are cool. Another multi-cart, a 42-in-1 with a U. And then I have the Power Pack, if you want to play those evil ROMs. It's a flash card. But it comes in handy for going to an event or, you know, a conference if you want to lug around 700 games. And finally, we have a Mario and Yoshi, which, well, I don't know, what is this? Why do I have this? I got them all now, almost. The action set, which had the zapper, so why get this and that? Well, you can get that. Okay, I'll shut up. This is the Family Fun Fitness Pad. So, Operation Secret Storm. The Inmate was the very first Nintendo Kiosk demonstration unit. The best of the best, what you really want to see. So let's open up and get in there right now. Make it stop. Make it stop. Make it stop. No. Make it stop. Make it stop.